Good evening, welcome to Full Time Reds. It finished Liverpool 2, Ajax 1. Liverpool won a game, which is it's a nice novelty, isn't it? I'm your host, Chris Brack, and I'm joined by Ron, I'm joined by Kev, and I'm joined by Matt. I nearly did a Kev then, I forgot who I was talking to. Ron, let's start with you. How you doing, matey? I don't think we've done a show together, have we?
No, I don't think so. But thankfully for the win, I'm doing great today. So I'm happy about
That's
that.
Matt. We're going to ban Matt if we didn't win today, because we think Matt's the reason we don't win, so... Cool. Matt, how are we?
Couldn't be better. I really enjoyed the game. I can't wait to get into it with you guys. But that's a good way to get an afternoon off.
Good. And Kev, you stop being miserable now about the game.
Hot kettle and black, mate.
Oh, I'll say if you can see the WhatsApp between me and Kev, they've been hilarious.
I was happy with probably 80% of the performance. Delighted with the result. There's an awful lot to be happy about in that performance compared to the Napoli game. But tonight, the result was everything. Didn't matter about anything else. Result was king, and we're off and running in the group. And home games are vital.
I know. Up to second in the group on head-to-head. Woohoo! Let's take every small win we can. So, Ron, let's start from the beginning then. Lineups. Any surprises for you? What were you expecting? Or were you expecting a few more changes?
No, I wasn't surprised. Although I didn't think Elliott was going to start, but I wasn't surprised to see him there nonetheless. I was quite actually, once I saw it, I was actually quite happy with it. I think Jota being up front, we'll get into all the different performances, but I think that was quite telling. And yeah, I was pretty excited to see it.
Cool. Matt, happy with the lineup or any sort of difference you
That
see?
that would have been my predicted 11 going into the game. That seemed to be the most straightforward 11 to go with, and I think they trained together all week, and I think it showed.
Cool, Kev. I mean, I think bar one. I think you pretty much had that 11 on our preview show.
Yeah.
Me personally, I had a bit of few. I was a little surprised Nunez didn't start, but listen, I'm not going to complain when Jota starts because Jota was really good.
Yeah, I was hoping that Bobby would start in the 10 instead of Elliott, and we would start with a 4-2-3-1, but that's how we ended the game. And I think the control that we had at the start of the game with that 11 was really good. You could see why Jota started. He knows the triggers for the press a lot better than Darwin does, and he's more established and more settled in the 11. So maybe it was a horses for courses pick, and I was happy with it. I wasn't overly surprised with the Klopp sticking with his with the 4-3-3, especially looking at the Ajax lineup. It was probably as strong as we could have gone. Delighted to see Thiago starting. I think Megan is there in the chat saying Thiago's a joy to watch. Yeah, for large parts of the first half, he was dominant. Drifted in and out of the second half, but was majestic for parts of that game as well tonight. You can see what he brings and what we miss when he doesn't play. He's that important.
Yeah,
But no, I was delighted with it.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the first half, we will get into the goals and the action. I thought you kind of saw glimpses of the Liverpool we know they can be. I think you still saw a lot of the frailties of this side in transition and not being clinical enough, in my opinion. I still think we're not quite firing all cylinders. But listen, we started well, and if anyone needed a goal, it was definitely Mo, wasn't it, Kev? He's needed that goal for a little while, and it was great. Ball by Alisson, flick on by Diaz, and it's a lovely pick out by Jota. And look, it's a really good finish by Salah. It's what he needed, really, isn't it?
It was quick transition of play, and we looked for it all night. Alisson's delivery off the hand is so good, and we tried it 4 or 5 times, and he got through, but I think 3 times, maybe 4. But that ball was brilliant. Diaz won it really well in the air, and Daley Blind was on the halfway line looking at what was going on. Salah probably couldn't believe the space he was in. It was a lovely pick out by Jota, as he said. Really nice finish. Really nice finish. And no one needed a goal more than him. And the roar that went up was unreal. and it was what we deserved. We were the better side from the start. We were creating chances. We were winning the ball back high up the pitch. Everything that you wanted to see was there. I was really delighted with it. And that goal was just a reward, really, for the work that we put in the high press and the aggressive nature of the midfield as well. Ajax weren't. It was night and day, the difference between the two games. Ajax tonight, for large parts of that game, weren't allowed to pick their heads up, and that was the difference between that and the Napoli game. The Napoli game, players had time in the ball; they could pick their head up, pick a pass, and look for runners. Tonight, we for the majority of that game, we made them work really hard for anything that they got, and they didn't get very much out of the 95 minutes. So we did our job pretty well in the main.
We'll come on to that because I know you may have a disagreement on that. Ron, so, I mean, look, as you see up to the goals, happy with it. There seemed to be a bit more zip. I still don't think we're zipping it as much as we used to, but at least we actually tried to press, which is, a novelty because we haven't been doing that. We definitely did that in Napoli. I don't think anyone got above a jog.
Yeah, and I think you could see the impetus right from the beginning. Got every time somebody got on the ball for Ajax, we were, somebody was coming out to close them down. The other thing I think the goal that Salah got was indicative of is for somehow, some way, Diaz and Jota pretty much stayed close to each other a lot during the first half. Salah did seem like he was still pretty far out wide and pretty separated, but Diaz and Jota seemed pretty connected. They were always kind of able to in a space where they could play off each other. So that was good to see because a lot of the criticism going beforehand was that our forward line was just way too far apart, making it hard to play off each other. So I was glad to see that kind of got tweaked a little bit tonight.
Yeah, because Matt, the Jota's link play I thought was actually really good first half. And like Ron said, he's a lot closer to Diaz and Salah. But I'll be honest, I think even when Liverpool are at their best, that's kind of always the way. Is we tend to have the number 9 drift more to the left, and it creates the space for Salah, which we got the goal from.
Diogo Jota had his best Roberto Firmino Liverpool center forward game today. I thought he was great. The way he was dropping into space and interlinking and leading the press from the front. He was relentless the whole time he was on the pitch, leading the press from the front. And then that link up for the goal, fantastic touch. I thought he had a really good game, and it's a huge boost for us going back in. But Darius Hoyt had a comment you had up there on the screen that having that game postponed on the weekend really helped us. And I couldn't agree with the statement more. To me, it really seems like Klopp had picked his 11 for this game probably 4 or 5 days ago, knowing the fitness of the players. And then nobody picked up a new injury. So they were actually able to train as an 11 and do team pressing drills because our attitude and the way that we are supposed to play our game was so much better. The press was relentless. It was just player after player after player coming. And it seemed like it all stemmed from Thiago. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, Chris will comment here saying, Kev, all fair points, but our lack of goal threat and Ajax could and should have got a second. So for all the dominance, we could have finished tonight with 1 or 0 points. We'll come to that because we'll talk about the second half. So Ajax's goal. So they worked the ball out well to the right. Trent stuck, sort of, in my opinion, stuck between either pressing the man with the ball or following his run. He seems to be more concentrated on the man with the ball. So the ball's played on the inside of him. Matip tracks him, which is fine, and the cross cuts in. And Van Dijk's got two centre forwards. And when you watch it back, one of Elliott or Fabinho has to be following the deep runner. That's literally their job. You can argue over whether it's Elliott or it's Fabinho. And then Van Dijk, look, it's hard when you got 2, but he was doing his very best Albi Moreno impression of hands behind his back, trying to make himself as small as possible, which we've seen them do this against United. And it just felt, and I said text this to Kev, it just felt typical. It just felt we've had all the ball. We probably should have took a second chance, and we've let in another soft goal. Ron, how did you see it? Or am I being too harsh?
Yeah, I think slightly being a bit harsh. And I agree. Fabinho or Harvey should have been there. However, every part of that that Ajax worked was well worked. I mean, It was a quality touch to bring the ball down. It was a quality heads up to cut the ball back across. Could have done what could have Van Dijk really have done if he made himself bigger? Could he have charged the ball down? All the things could have happened, but you're talking split seconds.
But that's what he used to do. He did used to make himself big, because then it's like it doesn't, because from that distance, if it hits his arm, no ref's giving a penalty from that distance.
Well, you say that.
Well,
no Premier League referee might not, but a Champions League referee might.
Will.
I think you get away with it, because I think generally from that distance, as long as you're not like a starfish, I think you get away with it.
Like Milner?
No,
that wasn't a starfish. Yeah.
Milner was reaching to absolutely control it. Yeah, I mean, I think that at best, I think that's debatable. And given somebody who's in a poor run of form at the moment, I'm again not saying he shouldn't have done better, but it was a goal that although I didn't like, I was okay with it. Like the way it came about. Hats off to Ajax. They had put a good move together.
Yeah, which is fair enough. I mean, the thing with Trent, though, he can't catch a break, because, like you said, every time we see the goal, people will question him. You can't help but look at if it's him, because I think outside of the goal, I thought he did okay today.
He did.
I thought his passing was better, and his awareness, especially second half, his awareness was much better than I've seen for the last couple of weeks. So, Matt, half time 1-1. How are you feeling? Are you frustrated? Are you annoyed? Are you thinking Champions League's disappearing?
No, I felt good at second half. I thought that was our best 45 minutes of the whole year. Besides Bournemouth, if you just take that as like a statistical anomaly and you just throw it out of the data set because it's so strange. If you look at the rest of our 45s, I think that might be our best 45 that we put together. The goal that they scored, if you look at the XG afterwards, 0.25 for Ajax. They didn't have a lot of chances in that game. So if you look at that goal in context of the games we've played so far this season, it's really frustrating because it's the same goal. But if you look at it in the context of the game, it was really about the only chance they had to score.
Yeah, I think the frustration, look, maybe this is me outside looking in, is it always seems to be the half chance, or they just had the one chance, like Crystal Palace. Oh, they had the one chance, but they're always getting it, or giving them that.
I think teams are going to get chances against us. I think if you look back to last season and how many razor thin offside calls went in our favor, that if they go the other way, and how many times a team had a chance or even the ball in the back of the net only for the flag to go up and they were just offside by a lean sort of thing. We play in that high risk, high reward fashion. Like you mentioned Trent, like the one play he had where he came back against Bergwijn one-on-one, slid in, stole the ball from him, got up, and put that ball to, I'm pretty sure it was Diaz, 80 yards cross field. If he would have, oh my God, he should have scored that. Like, what a goal that would have been, because that's what Trent should be doing in terms of defensively, and that's what he definitely can do going forward. So I was really actually buoyant at halftime because we looked like Liverpool again. Like, we looked like a team that knew what they were supposed to do. The biggest giveaway for me was in the first half. I thought to use absolutes because we have to being on the internet, I thought our worst player in the first half was Harvey Elliott. And that's how our team should be. We should have this hot young starlet who you have to tell people, like, no, he's actually having really good games. Not being the obvious standout in our team. Like, I felt like our core players, our better players, were standing up and making themselves known. And it allowed Harvey to be a kid as opposed to, having to do it all himself, it seems like.
Yeah, because that's what you want, Kev. You shouldn't be going to we saw Napoli away where arguably your best player on the pitch is Diaz, and then probably second is a 19-year-old. There shouldn't be that pressure on a 19-year-old. I was a little surprised he started. I thought, not because I don't think he's playing well, I just feel like he needs a bit of, I think you've got to protect the young player, give him a rest now and again. But listen, look, for Harvey Elliott, progression for young players isn't linear, and you do learn from difficult games and difficult performances. I think that's what you learn from more than when everything's great and it all comes off. I don't think you learn as much.
Yeah, I thought he was all right without being exceptional. Look, on their goal, the only thing that frustrated me was when Trent didn't get the interception, that he didn't burst the gut to get back into, get a block on the shot, because he's the only one that could. Harvey was out of it because they switched the play so really quickly. He couldn't get back in. Fabinho tried to get across, but again, he was out of position because they switched it so quick. Elliott or Trent should have been bursting a gut once he didn't make the interception. It was a great finish by Kudus. Alisson could do nothing. Virgil could do nothing about it. It was one of those, he rifled it, it hit the bottom of the crossbar and went in. Great finish, but I think the only chance to stop that goal was Trent getting across to get a block on the shot. But look, that aside, Harvey was, I think, he was a square peg in a round hole for a lot of the game. He was all right at what he did. He got it, kept the ball, gave it in the right areas, but everything was safe. Everything was, there was nothing exceptional out of him. And you're right in what you're saying. He's 19 years of age. He's going to have ups and downs. He'd be a freak of nature if he was coming in, giving 7.5s, 8s, week in, week out. And we would be in a better place if he was, but he's not. So there's no point in, beating a kid up over it. He did okay without being exceptional. He was a good 6 out of 10. I didn't have a problem with him being hooked. If he was hooked at halftime, I think if there was an option in midfield to keep the shape at 4-3-3 that you could trust to come in that right side of midfield role, I think it would have been made at halftime. But when at one point, Klopp decided to change shape when he made the changes, and I didn't think he would do that. Would want to do that at halftime.
Yeah, maybe hopefully over the international break now we get a few more heart training sessions into Artur, and maybe Artur could do left and Thiago can do right, because Thiago can do both sides. I mean, there's a lot of things he can do, to be fair, so he's fine.
Yeah.
But listen, look,
I think a lot of the players, I don't know if there's an under 21 break as well. So Harvey Elliott might be away. There might be a lot of players away on international duty. So the likes of Thiago probably won't. Artur won't. But an awful lot of them will be away. So they have a few days to work, but not much.
Be interesting. It'll be interesting if Jota's been called up, because we might be able to get away with that because he's only just back. Robert won't go away because he's crocked. I'll be honest. I'll be a little surprised if Trent goes away with England, because if you're being perfectly honest, form wise, he hasn't. He doesn't
If
Trent
doesn't go away with England now, he's not going to the World Cup.
He's not going to the World Cup. Don't let him go. Let him not go.
Yeah. Well, if you're being brutally honest on form, Trippier's been the best right back in the league at the moment. So Trippier should be getting picked. If you're being brutally honest.
If Southgate is going with the intention of playing a back three, then Trent shouldn't be going. If he's going playing a back four, he should be going, but he won't, because Southgate likes the option of having Reece James and
James gives the option of.
James gives. I don't know. That's by the by.
Yeah, James gives the option of centre back, doesn't he? Because he's more of a centre back, I would say. But it's what you have. Cool. Right. So I did try and tee Matt up for an IP Vanish link, but he just didn't take it up on the facts. So like Liverpool shoot, like Liverpool shoot today.
You can give me a heads up. We're on the same team here. It's I'll work with the script with you.
Listen,
if you want.
You're like Darwin Nunez, mate. You're the star striker, and you just fluffed your lines again. Do you know what I mean? Right. Let's pay the bills. That's my passive aggressiveness of the day. So come on, guys. You know by now, if you're browsing online using incognito, it doesn't actually protect your privacy. So if you get yourself a VPN, as in IP Vanish, it'll protect all your private data from hackers, advertisers, and other undesirables. It'll protect everything from your details, your passwords, your communications, and your browsing history. So basically, it'd be like you could be on the internet and almost be invisible. IP Vanish could be used on multiple devices without sacrificing speed, anything from computers to tablets to phones to even Fire Sticks, whether you're at home or in public. And for you guys, you will get an incredible 70% off your yearly plan and 30-day money-back guarantee. So you're basically getting 9 months for free, and these guys are 4.6 out of 5 on Trustpilot. So if you want the deal, it's ipvanish.com/daytrippers. ipvanish.com/daytrippers. And sponsor number 2, Paramount Plus, who are showing the Champions League, and I've got exclusive rights to the Champions League. So, and it's dirt cheap, isn't it, Kev? Isn't it about, to work out €10 a month?
It's about €10 a month. But if you're in the UK and you want to get it, if you've got Sky Movies and Sky Sport, I think if you've got Sky Movies on your Sky package, you can get Paramount Plus for free. So
Yeah, because let's be honest, guys, you've
There
got a
you
choice
go.
of Paramount Plus or in the UK BT Sports and Steve McManaman. I kind of feel it's worth the tenner a month just to not listen to Steve McManaman ever speak, as well as Martin
he,
Keown. There's a
he
lot of
is it.
things you could do
Well,
without, and I tell you,
I was literally just looking
Yeah.
online, and I'm seeing that apparently BT Sports are absolutely ripping Trent to shreds in the post match for tonight. Now, look, defending the goal aside, I thought his
He played well
stand-up
tonight.
defending was pretty good. I thought there was a couple of times where Bergwijn got one-on-one with him, where he handled him really well. His distribution was good. I think his attacking play was really good. I don't get. I mean, there's a lot of agendas out there with Liverpool players at the minute, and him more than most. But
Well, we've
when
seen.
you base it on the 90 minutes, over the 90 minutes, he was really good today. You know, without being absolutely up there, he was fine. Yes, he's going to give away the odd chance here and there, but in the main, he was pretty good tonight.
Yeah, but look, at the end of the day, people know certain clubs, certain players. It drives social media, it drives clicks, it gets you your notoriety. You know, we've known for a while now. This the likes of BT and Sky. It's not punditry now. It's just a banter world, isn't it? But the world we're in. So Ron, second half kicks off. No changes. Right, come on, Liverpool. Same again. Keep it tight, and then we have the maddest 1 minute spell where they break away. Mo Salah's playing centre back to try and block them scoring. And 2 minutes later, Jota's flashing it just wide, and Mo Salah's around the full length of the pitch looking for a tap in. It was a proper mad start to the half, thinking, oh, this is what we've got to come, isn't it? I could do about this.
Yeah, the literal all guns blazing. So that I'm all for an end to end as long as we're on the winning side of it. Otherwise, otherwise it's hard. It can be kind of touchy to watch. But I kind of enjoyed the fact that we kind of came out the blocks again fast, trying to get at them. In that same stretch, wasn't there a point where Trent was the furthest forward on the end of an Allison long ball?
No,
Or
it
was
was
that
from
from
Van
That was
Dijk.
a
Yeah.
It was
Virgil
from
pass.
Van Dijk. What
That was a
a
Virgil.
pass!
That was
Yeah.
a beautiful pass, by the way.
What's Trent doing there? How is Trent there?
Forget that. Why is he back in? Take it in on goal.
Right. I don't know why how he composed himself not to take a shot at that point. And like you're right back furthest forward 1-on-1 with the goalie. Take a shot. Just do it.
He
Like
just
why
lost
not?
it in the he lost it in the air, didn't he? And
Yeah.
he just couldn't get his body shape right to take the ball on the turn and go towards goal. That's all it was. But the fact that he was there, that's design. You know, that's by design. You know, you don't make that kind of a run from there with the ball where it was unless you're being told, unless you're under instruction to do it. Because it happened on the opposite side as well a few times. But it was Diaz who was the furthest forward for Alisson's goal kicks. And you get the impression that if you're playing against a side who are going to be playing a higher line, that's what we're going to look to do. If the ball is at the feet of a centre back and you know he's in safe possession, someone's got to bomb on and look for that over the top ball. It's just a way of turning players around. It's where the first goal came from, was that long ball into Diaz and the flick on. We did that. We used to do that a lot, you know. And if it was because Sadio was brilliant in the air, Diaz is very good in the air as well. So it's getting that flick on, and then if you lose the ball there, it's making sure the midfield three are in a position where they can get the second ball. That today was brilliant, where we were able to pick up second balls and carry on the attack. And there were times when you had to take the foul and take the odd booking here and there, but overall, that's why I said, went back to what I said earlier. It was night and day performance-wise from the two games, and it had to be. You know, it had to be because anything less, we would have been found out. You know, but
I mean, to be fair, Kev, doing 3 passes in the first 10 minutes was actually 10 times better than the Napoli game. So it's
but it's the intent. It's the intent.
I know what you mean, but
it's the work rate off the ball and the organisation and shape off the ball, where everyone was going together and there was purpose behind everything. That's what made the difference. And we suffocated them for the start of the second half. Right, the first 20 minutes of the second half was scruffy. You know, it was scrappy, and there was a few half chances, but in general, it was a case of that was probably the one part of the game where I thought Thiago was out of it. The first 20 minutes of the second half, he wasn't involved. Everything seemed to be down the opposite side. But it needed someone like him to be able to get their foot in the ball and start dictating play again. And when him and Fabinho started doing that, that's when we kicked on again. When the changes came and Fabinho and Thiago started to put their foot in the ball, that gave us much more impetus to drive on for the last 20 minutes. And the fact that we kept going, and we always looked likely. I always felt that we looked likely. There was only one winner in that game. I didn't think there was any chance of us losing it unless we really fucked up. I was really, really happy with an awful lot of what I saw.
Yeah,
gotta be fair.
Bonkers at LFC makes a good point. Matip runs were so good to see, which they were, to be fair. But can he shoot for once? What apart from the goal? But yeah, but look, that's something we haven't seen for a little while. Those Matip runs from deep, they do they cause some problems. And look, they just force players to foul him or get us into positions of use, which is what we want. Kev's had enough.
Yeah, when I put together my disastrously difficult quiz, I was looking at advanced statistics for last season, and it was like created threat, and it was all the most creative of the central midfield players that you'd expect, De Bruyne, Bruno Fernandes, and whatnot. And Joel Matip was crazy high at that, and it's because of those line-breaking runs where you don't expect the center half to go off on a big gallop like that, and he has some sort of magnet feet. The one where he had the ball at the edge of the box after a scrambled corner, and he just wouldn't shoot the ball, and it cuts to Virgil afterwards, at least on my stream, and he's looking at Joel, and he's like, shoot the ball! It's like, yes, Joel, shoot the fucking ball!
But then when he goes to Virgil, he gives it to him, he goes, I don't want it either. Don't fucking hell, don't give it me.
Well, you look at how Virgil shoots the ball, and it goes higher in the air than it does further forward.
Hey, when you play in Everton, though, they come off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's thanks to a Divock,
Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah, it's great though, isn't it? And I keep it with little arms. Matt, Wade Nelson makes a good point. Shout out to Costas. He was great all round in defence and attack, always ready when called upon. Yeah, listen, look. R. Allison in the chat's already been at me in the Telegram group because I've been quite critical of Tsimikas, saying all I've said is he's just been average. I mean, let's be fair. Who hasn't been?
Called him a competition winner.
Yeah, I did call him a competition winner. And
that's what he looked like. He did.
That's what he did. He did look like that.
He looked like tonight. He looked like he won the competition.
Tonight he was excellent. I can't fault the covering for one of the where I thought they were in. He ended up at right back, does a spin and clear to you. Think that's perfect. That's what you want from your fullback. Delivery-wise, I never worry about him because his deliveries are good. Bonker's right though. I wouldn't let him shoot because I don't know what happened. Everything about his composure is there until he shoots. He's obviously been learning from Andy Robertson because he has the same problem. We haven't got a left back yet who can shoot, but it's a small problem.
But look,
one thing I want to be a natural left back.
I wanted to ask you guys, what did you think of the substitutions when Klopp made them? Because he changed shape, and with Elliott coming off, and Jota coming off, was it timing right? Because Klopp's gets a lot of sticks for his substitutions. Is there anything that you would have done differently? Would you have brought someone else on, a third person maybe, or were you guys happy at the time?
I was happy. I thought the timing was perfect. I thought the personnel was perfect. I thought the change of shape was perfect because it seemed as if to get over the line we kind of needed to have a little bit of a tweak. So I thought going that route was perfect. So for me, I was delighted.
How you found it, Matt?
Yeah, I really like the changes. I felt it was the right amount of positivity that we needed at the time. Firmino playing in the role that I think most of us see him kind of taking up of more of a number 10 when we switch to playing with 4 attackers. And that's great because it helps to just keep that sort of extra man in the midfield. But with the way that Thiago was playing, and Fabinho, I thought had a good game. Thiago had a perfectly fine game. Took a couple of fouls, little sneaky Fernandinho-style ones in the first half, in their half sort of thing to break up the attack. He had a really good game. So I think it was since the early parts of the summer, people have been saying, you might have been, I think it was you, Chris, wasn't it, this big proponent of switching to 4-2-3-1, like early on, or maybe it was Keith. I don't know, somebody was. And I said in the pre-show we should try it for a change. Yeah. I think that's going to come to fruition now because we do have, with all of our attackers healthy, we've got 5 pretty good attackers and they offer some pretty good interchangeable attributes that allows us to be a little bit more flexible. And today it helped to win us the game.
It did. And look, Kev, we'll talk about it because I can see it in the chat. Darwin's getting an awful lot of stick. Quite a few have written him off already. I mean,
I wouldn't write him off yet. That's a nonsense. But there's something. Some of his. He's a mixed bag. He was a mixed bag because he probably had the best chance of the game for either side. And he side-footed it. He just shanked it wide. And then 5 minutes later, he's running at the fullback, switches it onto his right foot, whips it across goal, and the keeper gets a deflection that took it away from Jota for a tap-in. You know, it is a mixed bag. He's still finding his feet. It's not. We didn't spend that level of money for him to hit the ground and be the end product player in the first 3 months. You've bought him in for the duration of a 5.5, 6 year contract. So he'll need time, and the team needs to adjust to him as much as he needs to adjust to the team. And unfortunately, with the situation that we're in at the minute, the way we're playing, he's not going to get the luxury of coming into a winning side, which makes the world of difference there forward. You're coming into a side that is flowing and attacking and scoring goals for fun. You're coming into that and you're going to be fine. You're going to find your feet really easily. We're not. We're struggling to find goals and we're struggling to find wins. So everything is going to be picked over in a microcosm. And it's literally just going to be a case of time. It's time and time and time and work. And when you see something good, say it's good. When it's not good, it's not good, but it's not the end of the world either.
No. I mean, the good thing, Ron, is I think the biggest thing that's going to help Darwin is the fact Jota's fit. So I think we can start doing it, which I think probably was the plan in pre-season, was Jota as number 9, Darwin to come off the last half hours to build himself into the team, which is kind of the Klopp way. But, you know, Jota got injured and he was brought into action a bit sooner. And then, look, we all know what happened in the Palace game. But I'm hoping that's, at least when he comes on, he has an impact. You know, it's not, look, I know we would have liked him to have taken his chances, the chances he should have taken, but he does give us something different. He does like to drift wide left and give it and get himself in the box quite quickly. So it just gives us something different to Jota, and it's horses for course at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also along with that is the big thing for me about Darwin right now. You know, he's still learning his way into the team. The suspension didn't help with that, but he's getting in the right positions. He's still able to beat him in. He's still getting to the byline. He's still getting in a position where he can get good shots. Now he just has to start converting, and that'll come. I'm confident of that. So I'm not, you know, should he have more goals right now? Obviously, you know, tonight included, yeah. But I think that's coming. You know, if he was lost in a drift, you know, never in the box, always on the periphery, mistiming his runs, I'd be a lot more concerned. But all those things are there. Now it's just about the end product. And I think, like you said, having Jota back will help him because he'll be coming on to tired defenders who've been dealing with that little nuisance for the longest. And also, I think whatever is going to happen, I think him developing a partner with Diaz more than anybody is going to be crucial. So the longer they get to play together, I think that also benefit them as well. Yeah,
pretty much. So, Matt, and then your favourite player came on with about 2 minutes to go, Mr. Milner. Which, all jokes aside, that's kind of why you kept James Milner at the club. It is for last 10 minutes, last 20 minutes for tight games. That's where he's effective, not playing full 90s. But
this is what happens when our injury list isn't like a full 11. You know, when we've only got 5 or 6 injuries, James Milner is being used in the James Milner spot, which is that like platoon guy late in games attitude, you know, or guide the kids down the mountain as we all know he should be. So like, it's just what two bodies has done into our midfield. Thiago's come back and we've signed Artur, and neither of them are fully match fit, though Thiago definitely looked it tonight. We are going to talk about Thiago, I hope, at some point.
We'll get to him. He did all right, didn't he? We'll get to him.
Yeah, I think he was okay, but like it just shows that it's only like people were screaming and crying over Milner playing, and I think a lot of people were missing the point of the only reason that James Milner is playing is because he's one of the only fit midfielders we have. He has to play. Like there are some situations where you just can't help but play James Milner. So he came in and he did the thing that you pay him to do, and it didn't go great, and he'll go again. So.
Okay, last thing on Darwin, which Sam Tandy makes a really good point. We complained when we didn't have a different type of striker, so we can't complain when we have one now. When he still needs to settle in, etc., in our system, which is a good point because the accusation of Liverpool was it's too predictable. We know how the front three plays; they're all very similar. That's how Liverpool play. So now we've got someone different. We can't now say, he doesn't play like any of the other strikers. You've got to give him a chance. But we will talk about the Ajax chance, and we will talk about Joel's winner. But obviously, Ron, Thiago, and I'm just going to let you talk about him because it's going to wind Matt up, which is even more fun. How good was Thiago today?
Oh man, he was exceptional. I liked more from him putting his foot on the ball. All of that was superb. But I also like how he fought for everything.
He's a snide, isn't he?
Yeah, he was a little bit snide. He also chased a couple balls that he had no business thinking he was going to win because he didn't have the base, but he somehow got in there and either got a tactical foul in or at least made them turn back. So that was wonderful. I also think another thing he does really well, which is he keeps himself connected to Fabinho. They're never too far apart, which helps Fabinho out a lot in the middle and helps him leaving him a little bit too exposed. So those two things to me, aside from the fact that whenever he decides to play a ball, it just looks so immaculate. Aside from that, I think all around great game from him.
Yeah, Kev. I mean,
I'm just looking at Thiago's stats here a sec.
Okay, you look at Thiago's stats.
No, I'm just looking at him here. 10 recoveries. He had the highest pass percentage. The most accurate passes, which is what you'd expect from him. But it's the eye test. That little he does that thing and you wonder why more people don't do it. Just that little body
shoulder,
the shoulder drop. It's the oldest thing in football. You did it as a kid in the playground. You dropped your shoulder and you went the other way. He does it with ease, and they haven't got a clue. These are professional players. And they haven't a notion of what he's doing. His close control is immaculate. His vision is up there with some of the best players of any era. And this is his first game back. That was his first start back, and he just looked like he'd never been away. You see it with Fabinho, where he comes back from an injury and he takes a couple of games to get up to the speed of the game. He just looks like, this football lark is just a bit of fun that I do on the side. He's different gravy. And it's such a shame, not just for us, but for the entertainment value for football fans in general, that his body won't allow him to play a full season. If he was playing week in, week out, I guarantee, even as a neutral fan, you would just sit down to watch him play. There's a handful of players that played the game, the likes of Zidane, the likes of Figo, there's certain type of footballers, Iniesta, Xavi, these type of players where if they're playing, I'll turn the telly on just to watch them because they're that damn good. He's one of those, and the fact that we picked him up for so cheap, he's worth taking a punt on having him in the side. If you can keep him fit for 30 games, it's 30 games that you're going to be in with such a chance of winning. He's a ridiculous footballer. I love watching him play.
I think he's got the best chest control in the game, to be honest. It's ridiculous, that chest control. Look, if you want to see how good Thiago is, I think LFC Twitter showed the warm-up between him and Luis Diaz, where Luis Diaz kicks the ball over his head, and he doesn't move. He just scopes and kicks it back over his head to him. I'm like, fucking hell.
That's how he gets fucking injured doing stupid shit like that. One of his groin is in fucking bits.
Yeah. So, Matt, I know you want to talk about Thiago, so we're going to move on. We're going to talk Matip instead, because, the header. The header. Because let's be honest.
Yeah, I've got a third there is a great shout in there. Georgie Hadji. Very similar. Very similar to Georgie Hadji. If you don't know, YouTube is your friend. Trust me.
Absolutely lovely player. So Matip, finally a centre back who can get a header on fucking target. Jesus Christ! All I heard on the telly was, Van Dijk's won every head from these corners. He has, He's put everyone 6 foot over. I could edit down.
No, he put the first 2 directly at their keeper. The one he was completely unmarked, and he planted it directly at PSV, I think their keeper's name is. He put it right into his hands. Anywhere else in the net, and he scores that one. Almost harder to miss.
Their keeper looked like Robbie Savage in goal, which is he was already annoying me just for looking like Robbie Savage, to be honest.
that guy really likes The Witcher, I think.
Yeah, but it's a cracking header. And listen, you thought it's not going to be all night. You thought you clear off the line, and then you see the replay. It's miles over. But I was made up for it because I was probably saying all the defenders we've had this season. Matip's been our best centre back by an absolute mile. And look, a fit Joe Matip, he's just ridiculously good in both boxes. But he was excellent again today.
Yeah, pays to have your key players back. As much as we hope that Joe Gomez will recover, I think the shirt was Matip's to lose, and he had to surrender the spot beside Van Dijk because of injury again, like Joel Matip does. But coming back, the timing of Joe Gomez having that bad game, like if Joe Gomez had a great game against Napoli and had been the only shining light out of that game, it might have been tough for Joel to get the start, but it was so easy to just make that switch to protect Joe going forward. Going to the international break, forget about, put Napoli behind you, bring Joel back in, and just slots in so perfectly. He complements Van Dijk very, very well because he's quite aggressive on the ball, and that really helps with our press. I think he's a little bit more aggressive than Joe Gomez is. So when you get the forward, when Salah presses and the ball gets by him, and then you have Elliott and Trent pushing up on that, and then the ball either goes over the top into space and we can reclaim it with a goal kick or whatever, or if it comes short and Matip is right there pushing up on it and just creating that many more turnovers. It might lead to a huge chance the other way if they can break the line, but having that wave after wave after wave of press, and I think Joel does that probably the best out of any of our defenders that's not Virgil van Dijk when he's not what Virgil's been so
Ashley makes a great point there.
He does make a great point there. Ashley L's put Matip calms Van Dijk. They strengthen each other, and it was very telling when Van Dijk came back from his knee injury. Joel was thrown him straight next to him because I think for Van Dijk he goes, he probably still has to look after Konate and goes because the younger centre backs. He just has to look after Joel. He just goes, Joel just is there and does what Joel does, and I'm fine. I can concentrate on my own game, which is a good thing. Listen, the only person who can threaten Joel at the moment when he's fit, I still think is Ibu. Because Ibu is the nice hybrid, I think, between Matip and Gomez. He's got the Gomez pace. He's ridiculously good in the air. He probably can't bring the ball out like Matip, but he punches the passes forward. So he just gives you a different option. Which is when he's back fit, which is hopefully this international break. Again, that's a nice option then where we can rotate Matip and Konate in Europe, Champions League, and the league. I think we'll be all right then.
Sam makes a good point there as well. It's one of those things with Joe. Matip played some brilliant passes through the midfield, which got Jota into so much space. He eventually gets fouled, but yeah, I mean, look. It's one of the bonuses with Joe Matip's game is his composure to bring the ball out of midfield. He commits players to come to him, freeing up runners to go and attack and get at any side, and it's another weapon to the arsenal. You have Virgil's ability to play a long ball. You have Joe Matip's ability to bring the ball through the line, and he's deceivingly good on the ball. His passing range is very good. He looks gangly.
Dribbling 99, bro. He's got 99 dribbling.
He looks like the most awkward, gangly fella to ever play football, and he just does Joel Matip things. You know, that's
Mm.
he was looking at that header, going, "You will go in, and I'll make sure." He headed through the ball. It wasn't just like he headed the ball; he headed through the ball, and you could see the way that he went off in his celebration. It was basically a big fu. You know, the relief that must have been on their faces, because look, we all as fans know the pressure that was going in tonight, but make no mistake, the players knew that they had to turn it around, and a win was everything tonight. And the pressure, the release valve that was released when that whistle went and that ball went over the line, it must have felt like an a volcano just was erupted with the release of pressure that went off in their players, in our players. Like we just looked like finally we got what we deserved out of that game, because we did deserve to win that game. You know,
I mean, who doesn't love a Joel Matip celebration? Barry Devaney's basically got the line in that I always send to Kev.
Yeah, exactly.
3 or 4 times a game going, Matip, he's off on an adventure. And look, they always come off brilliantly, but he just goes. You can see him.
He just goes off on a wonder, doesn't he? That's what I love it. Joel's just gone off on a wonder.
Yeah. I think in his Schalke days, though, Matip was a DM, wasn't he?
He started off his younger days. He was a DM that dropped into centre back, but he's not a DM. He just isn't.
No, but I think that's what's helped him when they moved to centre back.
Yeah,
I feel like Fabinho started as an attacking right back. Sometimes when they start younger and move in, it helps them. But I mean, listen, who could not love a Joel Matip celebration? It's great. And listen, credit to the manager, because we said like he has been criticised recently for some tactical changes, who he's picked, his substitutions. He got his subs perfect today, and the subs is what helped win the game. So you got to give Klopp all his props too. So man of the match, guys in the chat and ladies in the chat, let us know who's your man of the match. G10 makes a great point. I thought Jota was great for an hour, and listen, getting an hour into Jota is also another big bonus for us. So Matt, who was your man of the match?
Thiago.
Oh,
fantastic. Just fantastic. The one thing, because you skipped me over, there was a crossfield ball. There was a crossfield ball
what do
that
you think?
he did a body feint dummy on to let it go through to fucking Costa Simicast. That was just outrageous. It was outrageous. He was so good.
Yeah.
Cool. Kev, who's your man of the match?
I won't go for Thiago, even though I think... All right, Thiago's man of the match. But honourable mention...
Is this going to be the years when it used to be like Suarez man might be somebody else? Is it going to be one of those?
It always used to be the case that Suarez was man of the match, so we used to have honourable mentions. Look, the honourable mention for me tonight, I think, was Fabinho. He was the one player that needed a performance, and I thought he was brilliant in pushing high up the pitch, winning the ball high up, organising the midfield to be in the right place at the right time. I thought he was very, very good tonight.
Cool. Ron, who have you got for your man of the match? Lots of love for Thiago. A couple of shouts on Matip as well.
Yeah, I would have to say Thiago, but if I may, I would also the pick I would make if I can't pick Thiago would be Luis Diaz. I thought he was everywhere up front. He gave them absolute nightmares all game long. So
he's a maverick, he's great. It is. I think Thiago is the right answer. My honourable mention, because to be fair, I've given him a lot of stick, and to be fair, I thought he was excellent today. Simicast will also get an honourable mention from me, because I thought he was very good today. And look, like I always say, I try not to do agendas and all that. If I see it, I'll call it as I see it. And to be fair to Simicast, he was really good today. I had no complaints about him, but Thiago was just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. The other honourable mention is Ali's distribution, which was just ridiculous, like it always is. To be fair.
Bonkers there with Thiago man of the match. Matip and Jota have to be mentioned. Yep, Matip was excellent. Diogo Jota found himself in really good positions in that number 9 role, that false 9, that allowed Diaz and Salah to be more inside. And for his first start, he was good. He was fine. More will come from him. Cool. In some ways, the break isn't a blessing, because it's not just, we're missing out this weekend, but it's a long-ass break now. It's a long time since we play again.
It is a long-ass break, but the one benefit we might have from this long break is Robbo should be back, Henderson should be back, Jones maybe, and Konate should be closer. So at least we'll have options just to get into those.
Chris,
Ramsey, maybe, yeah.
You forget to mention Naby. I don't understand. Like, is he not part of the...
He's going to fucking play. Just wait. Before he's sold...
internationals, I mean, we'll have him back. I mean...
Well, he's probably going to play in November, which is after we've probably got another international break since then. You know, assuming he doesn't go away with Guinea, get injured again, you know, who knows? Who knows? Well, we will see. Look, if he's there and Klopp picks him, he picks him. You know, I'm at any point who plays Liverpool, I hope we do well. But there's definitely an undercurrent of something going on there. But, you know,
we'll find. I'm sure that someone will write a book. I'm sure
they will. So,
Ginny Wijnaldum and Naby Keita, our story.
I don't think they're even remotely related. They're not even remotely related.
So, rest of the week, I'm not sure we've got a show.
Yes, we got a show on Friday. We got a show Friday night.
Yeah, you may got a show Friday night. I'm sure there'll be a viewer's voice, and I'm sure there'll be a midweek fix as well.
Yeah.
And then no full-time Reds this weekend because we've got a weekend off, which is nice for us, Kev. And Fatback
keep an eye on. I was going to say keep an eye on social media for some announcements that might come over the next couple of days for something new.
Yeah, cool. And I'm off to watch the women's game on Sunday, so that'll also be quite exciting for me. A bit scared of the game, but you know.
Yeah, in fairness, above all sides to come up against the first weekend of the WSL.
The reigning champions.
Yeah, the reigning champions is. But it's why you're in it. It's why we were sat all last season having to get promoted and having to win the first division to get promoted into the WSL. Is for days like Chelsea coming to Prenton Park. So
yeah, we look forward to that. Oh, Ruben makes a good point. Bajcetic, European debut. You know,
that was a surprise.
He got on.
He got 2 minutes. You know, rather than which I quite like, is rather than giving Artur a run out. So again, that's just probably also shows how highly thought of he is, which is nice. And Sam Tandy's thought the Spurs loss was also lovely. Yeah, we can have a little laugh at that now. Conceding 2 in 3 minutes, which is quite impressive, isn't it?
Lads, trust me, my ITK knowledge is non-existent. No, but just keep an eye out for something else.
So Tom Ball says midweek fix was last night. Chris, catch up. I know I was on it, but that was more of a pre-show thing. So I'm sure there's a show tomorrow. I'm sure there will be. Gav likes to do a show every day. Final thing to mention then is Bobby's Wish to Walk. Details are in the description below. So listen, we've done this before with Sienna, so if you can donate, please donate. If you can't donate, just share it. You know, we saw with Sienna doing her first walk into school. A quiz coming up. I guarantee you, I'm not doing the questions, so you'll enjoy the quiz.
I'm probably not allowed to do the questions either, so
it can't be any worse than my diabolical.
Oh yeah, one thing as well. The baby Reds today against Ajax. I watched the second half. Oakley Cannoneer, man. You know,
scores goals for fun.
Corner taken quickly, kid, is looking like a player.
He knows where the net is, doesn't he? Which is
a hat trick today. It could have been 5 or 6. It really could have. Young Jason Kumas's son came on and scored as well.
Yeah, apparently he looks quite a handy little player.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to have another young striker come through, you know, like we had in the early days with the Owens and the Fowles. It is nice when you get like a young prospect through who comes good. So that's something to look forward to anyway. Yeah. So listen, everyone, Gav wants to go to bed, so should we do another 10 minutes just to wind him up?
Nope.
Anything in the chat? Anything in the chat to go through?
Yeah. I don't think we'll get that. Red Steve.
You'll just fucking disconnect the stream, lads. So come on.
He will. So listen, guys. Thanks for coming on tonight. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Kev. Thanks everyone in the chat. The comments is what makes the show. So listen, thanks very much for it. So, until then, guys, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Up the Reds.